Good morning. We are now joined by Eileen Zilch with Community Catalyst. Welcome, Eileen.
Thank you, Janella. It's so good to be here.
It's good to have you here. I know that Community Catalyst is doing some really great things in our region, and I'm so happy to finally, I know you're a busy lady and you got lots going on, so I'm finally happy to get you in the studio so we could share a little bit more with our community about all of the different things you're doing. But before we jump into that, I'd love to give you an opportunity just to kind of provide a little bit of background on yourself and who Community Catalyst is and what you guys do.
Yeah. So, Eileen Zilch, Executive Director of Community Catalyst, and we have a second nonprofit called Community Catalyst Development Company. So, I'm actually the Executive Director of both. The difference between the two organizations, both focus on specifically here in Livingston County, we're really working to provide attainable housing, which is essentially housing that people can afford to live in. So we're serving a lot of working class people, people who are making maybe significantly less than some of the individuals in the county who are living in the super deluxe homes that are being built. It might be somebody that works in the grocery store, it might be somebody that's a teacher. We're looking at serving people who make kind of in the $50,000 per year neighborhood or less. And so again, that's a lot of people who are working here in the county.
Absolutely.
And unfortunately, as I think most people know, there is not enough housing in the county or in most places in the United States for people who are in that category of income to be able to afford to live. And so we're really working here in Livingston County to change that.
So what happens when they don't have a place to live?
We find people going outside of the county and working in the county, but living in a different county because they can't afford to live in the same county where they work. And to me, that's super sad. It causes turnover because if they have an emergency with their family, they can't get to their kids quickly if something happens at school, and so they end up leaving our county, and that makes it very difficult for us to be able to hire the workforce that we need when we can't house the people where they live.
Absolutely. And I think from the consumer perspective, we're seeing it. We're seeing the shortages in those areas in restaurant, hospitality, like you said, your grocery store, and the employers really struggling to fill those needs and those vacancies. And then from more of the chamber perspective, working and talking with businesses, workforce is the number one issue that we hear that's keeping employers up at night. And that's because they're struggling to just keep the doors open because they don't have people to fill those types of positions.
Exactly. Well, I was just at the drive-through yesterday, and it took, I think from the time I placed my order until I actually received it, it was at least 20 minutes.
Wow.
And there weren't that many cars in front of me, but you could see that there were not that many people working. So it's a real issue.
Well, and then when you talk about living where you work, the increasing cost of gas, transportation, all of those things do play a factor in a role, not only just the kind of that family component, but then there's also a sense of community, a sense of place, and a sense of that pride of being able to work where you live as well.
Exactly. Being part of the community as opposed to just working there.
Yes. So you did mention your other entity.
So Community Catalyst is the parent nonprofit, and we do a lot of advocating for housing in the community. I'm meeting with different municipalities trying to get awareness first and then actually action on things like zoning changes so that we can build maybe smaller homes that people could actually afford to purchase, or have something like an accessory dwelling unit permitted that, and I'll give you an example of that. In the building that we occupy, there is a standalone garage, and so it used to be a home when it was built in 1900. It's right on Grand River Avenue is where our office is. So it was a home at one time, and so there was a standalone garage. One of the things that we wanted to do was convert that standalone garage into a small apartment, and we weren't allowed to do it because it's considered an accessory dwelling unit, and that's not permitted by zoning code. So that's a simple change that a municipality could make to allow another unit of housing to be provided. So there's so many small things that communities could do, and there's actually a nationwide initiative, and there's definitely a Michigan initiative as well to make communities aware that it's in everyone's best interest to make these changes so that people can afford the housing that they need to live in.
Absolutely, and I couldn't agree more. So as an organization, you guys will advocate for those changes, and then you'll also kind of develop property as well.
That's correct. So Community Catalyst is the entity that's advocating, who we're also leading on fundraising.
So you're nonprofit, and what is your designation?
501c3.
Okay.
So both entities are 501c3 entities. So Community Catalyst is a 501c3, and then the development company is our, we use the language, our subsidiary nonprofit, and Community Catalyst Development Company is specifically focused on developing attainable housing here in Livingston County. So all of the projects that we've done so far have been done specifically by the development company. I am now a real estate developer, hadn't ever done that before, but we have developers on our board who are mentoring me, and so I'm the leader as the executive director of both nonprofits, but as most people who are part of a nonprofit know, you wear many hats. And so over the course of the last few years, I've actually become a real estate developer, and we are actively developing housing here in the county.
That's pretty exciting stuff. Yeah, that's very cool.
Yeah.
Now, do you have 2 boards for these organizations?
Sure do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. So you talked about some projects that you've accomplished thus far. So could you share with us a little bit about those projects?
Yeah. So our first project here in Livingston County were 2 affordable and attainable apartments on the back side of our office building. And our first 2 occupants were 2 different gentlemen who were homeless and disabled veterans. And so we were able to, our first 2 apartments house 2 gentlemen, one young, one older, who were in dire need of housing. And so that was a total blessing for us to be able to serve them. And
absolutely,
as soon as they were completed, they were filled.
That was kind of back to my question earlier, is do these people just become displaced? I mean, if there's nowhere for them to live and have afford that, are they homeless?
Yes, and that's exactly what happened. Exactly what happened to these gentlemen. Our second project, and we've done a lot in a fairly short period of time. So we were able to rehab our office building in those first 2 apartments. We got our certificate of occupancy in May of last year. Our second project, that actually we got the certificate of occupancy the month prior, so in April of last year. We purchased it later, but it was a less significant rehab. We were able to do a recovery house in partnership with another nonprofit in the community called Recovery Advocates in Livingston. So we bought the building, rehabbed it, turned it from, it was a full office. It had been a home previously. It was converted to an office building. We converted it back to a home, and it currently houses 6 women who are working to solidify their sobriety, a full-time house mom, and those gals are in a very strict program. We don't run the program, we just do the housing, and Rail does the running of the program, but they help these gals to go from, sometimes unfortunately they're in jail because of the decisions that they've made. They're coming into this program, solidifying their recovery, and then needing to go out and find permanent housing, but then that's a challenge for them. But at least we're able to help them in that time window where they are solidifying their sobriety. So it's good that we can help in that way.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
But then they're looking for, where do we go next?
Yes.
Where is housing that we can afford? Our third project, which was at the end of last year, we were approached by the Connection Youth Services, another nonprofit here in Livingston County, who specifically help youth who are either homeless or on the verge of homelessness. And we were able to save a building that was going to become market rate housing and purchase it so that the youth who are literally exiting the homeless shelter and going into the intensive life skills program that the Connection Youth Services offer, those youth are housed for 3 to 6 months until they basically learn how to be an adult and budget and
Wow.
take care of themselves.
I love that.
So those youth would have been out on the street
Yeah,
if
again,
we
and
hadn't.
turning into productive
Exactly.
individuals
Exactly.
to contribute in a positive way.
Exactly.
Mhm.
And so our latest project that we're neck deep in, earlier this year we purchased the former Crest Motel on Grand River, kind of towards the outlet mall. And we are converting that into 14 units of transitional housing.
Wow.
Because so many people, like the gals in the recovery house or the youth coming out of that, they
They
need
need
a
place to go, yeah.
Exactly, until they find the permanent affordable place that they can live. Exactly. So we're envisioning that people are going to be with us a week, a month, a couple of months until they find that permanent place that they can land. And I believe as soon as we open, and right now if all stays on target, we'll open in March of 23.
Oh, wow, right around the corner, holy moly.
Yes, yeah. So if our construction timeline stays intact, we're expecting, I think as soon as we open, we're going to be full. There is such a need. We have had so many organizations get in touch with us and say, you know, do you have room for our people? Could we refer our people to stay with you? And part of that is there is another place within the community that's currently being used in this capacity as transitional housing. Won't name any names. This particular location doesn't have a great reputation, unfortunately, and there are many people who are looking for options that will be safe and life-giving and positive, and so the community is very excited about the prospect of having a beautiful place for people who need a safe place to land and just somewhere nice to stay that's going to be positive and encouraging and help them take that next step.
It's empowering.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
No, I think just that demand piece of it is gonna, it just speaks volumes to the fact that this is a need.
Yes.
And it's really, really important to helping people succeed. And, so that is amazing. Thank you so much for sharing all that information with us. I love hearing about the different things that you guys are doing and the multiple hats that you wear. I find it also very intriguing and relatable. But before we wrap up today, I was hoping you could share your contact information with our listeners if they want to learn any more about the projects that you guys are currently working on.
Yes. So our website for Community Catalyst is community-catalyst.org. If you Google search Community Catalyst Michigan, you'll get right to us. There is another Community Catalyst out there, but you want the one in Michigan. And if you want more information on the motel, the new name of the motel will be Bethel Suites. So if you go to bethelsuites.org, send us an email, let us know that you're interested in helping. We have lots of opportunities for help. So let us know, or let us know that you are interested in the housing component, and that'll help us to also assess the demand, which we think already is going to be very high. So let us know that you need housing, and we'll see if we can help you.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Eileen.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thank you.